sitting here with Mark Bucci. Is that how you say your last name?
Busey, actually.
Bucci. Mark Bucci from Brewster, an alt-country psych singer-songwriter and producer from New Jersey. Also, professional audio engineer. We were just discussing before the episode all of the ins and outs of making sure that our recording is as clean as possible. I didn't know that you are a professional sound or audio engineer, so going into this new album that you are going to release, Honey Shake Me, you did all the audio for that. What was that experience like?
That was unfortunately kind of grueling at times, but not to open negatively. It was really enjoyable in a lot of ways. I don't know if you or anyone listening has experience with working on their own material audio-wise, but it can take a lot of the magic out of it. And I've always done it. I've always done it myself, essentially. I didn't do the drum. The drums were engineered at, one of 3 of the tracks. The drums were done at my old apartment, which was like this first floor in this like really old, huge Victorian house. So it had like really high ceilings, big open living room with like a lot of wood that I was able to treat, and it was this beautiful sounding room. And we were like, let's do some drums here. And we tried to do all the drums there. But I hadn't considered that I lived in a city, and like my neighbors' houses were like this close from mine. And there was an alleyway in between us that was essentially acting as an echo box. And so we did like an 8-hour drum session, and the sound of this kit was just bouncing around this like cement alleyway and being re-amplified into this apartment building next to me. And they were so mad. Like they didn't have my phone number, so they didn't know what was going on. But then my roommate the next day went to like the bodega that's down the corner, and somebody was behind him in line, and somebody, like, I guess they thought that he was me or something. And they saw me and say, "Hey, that's that motherfucker with the drums."
Oh my
God.
God.
I was like, oh, okay. So everybody knew. So we didn't do another session. And I was like, okay, I'll go to a studio. So 3 of the songs, Someraults included, was one of the ones that we did the drums in the apartment for. And I actually almost kind of like some of those a little better. It was, for those of you listening, when the record comes out, it's me and my Someraults, Red River Dive, and An Easy Love to Leave all have the apartment drums in them. But yeah, it's really fun because you get to experiment on the audio side. I got to do a lot of fun stuff with reamping in that place. I don't live there anymore, but I was able to like reamp into that big room and use a lot of huge room mic techniques and stuff. There's one track called Straight Jacket that's just one take of me and the guitar, just like a figure 8 setup with 2 mics of me just sitting there with the acoustic guitar playing the song in a take in that room that we were talking about, kind of distanced from the mic, and you can hear, because it's figure 8, it's kind of like stereo-y. And then all of the pedal steel tracks were reamped into that room too. And like I used very barely any like after the fact reverb. All of the, I want to say like 98% of the reverb that you hear, like any audible reverb as opposed to just like space making reverb, was done by reamping into that room and just having a mic really far away.
Wow, that's really cool, man. I mean, I know you said it maybe takes the magic out of it a little bit, but as somebody who certainly doesn't do it professionally, I might mess around and experiment with it. It is, to me, it like is the magic, because maybe it's because I don't quite know what I'm doing and it's more of just fucking around. Whereas you're like, no, it's got to be 6 feet away from the whatever.
Well, don't give me that much credit. I mean, like, I might maybe know the rules a little bit as far as that goes, but like, I don't always follow them correctly. This was the first record I like really paid attention to phase correlation and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And of course, obviously, it helped so much.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't mean to open so negatively. Honestly, it's a little early in the morning, and I'm still on my first cup of
Yeah,
coffee.
No, man. I mean,
No, it
I
was
wouldn't
really
say it's
fun. It
even
was really
a
fun.
negative thing. I think it's just, the truths of creating your own project and taking on more than just the creative aspects of things. You do have to think about all these very technical traits that go into the album that you want to
Yeah.
make.
Yeah, like I don't ever want to have to think about the transient of an element of a song that I've made ever again. It was just it kind of I had so much fun doing it, and it was really great, but through some reflection, and I was being a perfectionist, wanting to control the whole thing myself. Also, a lot of this stuff was created over the pandemic, so like it just was a means to an end. I maybe would have done it differently otherwise, but moving forward, definitely don't want to do it myself again.
Gotcha. Well, it's a good project to take on, especially at a time where there wasn't really much else to do anyway.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
very true.
when I was listening to the album, thankfully I got to get a sneak peek of the whole thing. It really, it's almost like you made it for me personally, because I love all of the influences that are on
Oh,
there.
that's great.
In the biography kind of thing that you sent me earlier. It included MJ Lenderman, Wilco, Big Thief. MJ Lenderman and Wilco I'm going to see in the next few months. So
Very sick.
if that says anything, like, this album really is right up my alley. And
Great.
upon listening to it, I wrote down it's truly a sonic landscape that's all over the place and yet cohesive, because it does feel like one piece of work, and yet some songs sound like Boards of Canada with weird synths, and then some other songs are like straight up like country rock tunes. So was it weird for you at all to try to bridge these gaps? Did you ever even think about it? Like, how was that process working on an album that is so diverse and yet feels very put together and cohesive?
Well, thank you very much for all that. That's very kind of you to say. I would say it was not difficult for me per se. I am, I guess, blessed in that that is what comes out of me. Although I think it's just those are the things that I've collected and like ended up liking the most. The like especially the country type stuff is what comes out of me most nowadays. It's like most what I listen to. It's what I feel the strongest about when I'm creating stuff. It feels it feels like, to me, so it really matches my personality a lot, in that it is at the same time incredibly goofy, incredibly just like almost debaucherous, booming, swinging, all that kind of stuff. But then also like incredibly sincere, can be incredibly poetic, truthful, no frills. I sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I like to think that those are things that are part of my personality. And so when I did come to country music, I found it was just a really great avenue for what I was doing, or what I felt and what I wanted to create and write and all that. And the synth stuff is left over from I was at one point, a little more on the indie side, and like, I was in my 20s in the 2010s, so like synth pop was very much like what I was making at the time. So I'm still
Right.
very into synths, and I like the way that they can, because synths in their element, like, to me, they fit in great with country music, because at their core, it's just like an electrical signal that is you're crafting simply by a
Right.
simple set of things to do to create a sound. And like, to me, that fits in with this whole theme, and so it made a lot of sense. And I just really like the sound of that juxtaposition of like a really woody sounding, like a song that sounds like a fireplace, that is that has like a computer part melting inside of it. Like that's
That's a great description. And speaking of descriptions, I have to give a shout out to Ben Seritan or Seritan.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out Ben Seritan. If you have not listened to his music,
I didn't know that he was a musician. I only know that he wrote the most compelling biography I've ever read in my life on this album. I was reading it while I was listening to it. I was like, this is beautiful literature. Like, this isn't just a bio that somebody sent me to like try to get on the podcast. This is like, it's so, I don't know. It was just like, did a great job at actually, I don't know, capturing the essence of your sound. And it got me even more excited to talk about it.
Very cool. I will let him know that you said that. Definitely, he's an awesome musician. You, especially after hearing your descriptors, you'll love this song called Power Zone that he has.
Okay.
I think it's from 2019 or so. And since that, he's got like singer-songwriter stuff, and then he's got just like straight up ambient that is like really creative ambient work. This one record, Cicada Waves, is like a lot of live takes of just hit the microphone, so I apologize later for
That's
that.
all right. I can dip that moment.
Yeah. Like live piano takes of him in Georgia. There's an especially beautiful moment where he like has an improv duet with a cricket that's outside of the window. It's really cool stuff.
That's cool. So is he part of your project at all, or is he just a good friend?
No, he is somebody that I made friends with right before the pandemic shut us down, and then we kept in touch online, and I actually haven't seen him since, but we're going to be up as part of our tour in Troy, New York, at a venue that he works at April 6th, a place called No Fun, really cool place up there. So yeah, no, he's not on the record at all or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But he had heard some of the songs, and I got him to do the bio for me.
Nice. Maybe pivoting back a little bit to the single, Me and My Someraults. Can you tell me a little bit about the writing and the recording process, but about this specific song? Is there a reason you chose this one to be the lead single?
Yeah. I mean, the main reason is that it whips, and it's a really good song, and it was the song that just kind of had me laser focus in on what this record was. It's this song, and then the next single that's going to be coming out, a song called No One Told Us the Secret Yet. That should be when this airs. It should come out in a couple days, honestly. Keep your eyes peeled, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the writing process. What I can think back on it was like, I can't quite. I mean, so there was like this story spinning around in my head a lot that I started writing in 2019. Like, not literal, like a fiction novel or anything like that. But while we were on tour, there was like some stuff going on in my life, and it was making me think about it's hard to put it into words because it wasn't words for so long. It was just this feeling of driving endlessly, and because we did a lot of touring up until the pandemic, and there's this kind of sensation when like there's this moment that happens in the van where like everybody's kind of quiet and zoning out to a record or something like that. Sometimes it's the most rambunctious place that can exist, a tour van barreling down a highway.
Mm-hmm.
But other moments it's quiet and it's serene and it's very peaceful. And I actually think that this record, Honey Shake Me, is both of those things for sure. Like, I'm actually realizing this now. The feeling of the record is the feeling of being inside that van with my brother and my best friends for sure. But Someraults specifically, I had this I don't want to say vision, but this feeling of when you're driving down the highway and like the white lines are coming at you at a steady pace, right? When you're in the lane on a highway, and it's there's that term highway hypnosis. So like that was kind of on my mind, and that happens to me a lot. Like I'll kind of zone out when I'm not in like an unsafe way, but in like a okay, I didn't realize I've made all the correct turns so far. I've just been like kind of on autopilot. But the idea that this kind of steady beating of the white lines coming back and forth, and then while that's going on, so almost quickly around you, outside of the windshield at such a slow pace, like the scenery of wherever you are is slowly morphing and shifting, and the sun can do crazy things to the sky, and it's just a really intense visual. And we were driving like basically the whole eastern third of the country, like all over there, down south, up in the Midwest, like everywhere. And we're located in New Jersey, like when we live there, so we see all of that when we're driving, and we did a lot of driving. And so I wanted to write something that felt like that, and also felt like I had right when I started that song, I was leaving a lot. I was leaving situations, I was leaving apartments, I was leaving things in the past. And so there's like, I want this feeling of driving away. And that's what birthed that song. And then that kind of birthed the whole record there. So it kind of developed into this story of two people who find each other fed up and want to leave in a very, dramatic and romantic American road trip kind of way.
Well, Thelma and Louise situation, maybe.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, yeah, yeah. And so that's a repeating theme on the record is steady, repetitive, hypnotic beats. Not if not literally a drum machine beat, or maybe it's a synth, maybe it's the drummer playing the same beat over and over again, and then big, thick, psychedelic-y, but twangy and country sounds swirling around that. And that comes a lot from our pedal steel player, Tim Kelly, who just like absolutely nailed it all over this record, especially in Someraults. When I had finished that song, I had this part in the middle of the song where it just kind of does this 3-chord thing, which is another thing I was aiming for while writing this record. I was like, I want to write a record. I was really obsessed with 1-4-5 type progressions. Like I was like, I don't even want to use relative minors. Like which I ended up eventually doing, but
hard to avoid sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was really obsessed with the feeling I got from 1-4-5 music, which has a lot to do with my love for country music and old folk and stuff like that. And so I had this one part that was essentially a rearranged 1-4-5 in the middle. And like when I first wrote the song, I was super psyched about it, but I just kind of sat with it too long, and I was writing a whole lot of other stuff. So this one was on the back burner, and I was like, there's not enough for this song. And I sent it to, I sent that along with another song that I was way more excited about, which didn't even end up making the record, and I don't even remember how to play. Over to Tim Kelly, the pedal steel player, and I was like, hey, see what you can do, because he's really good at, like, I've written a song, and then I'll hear his, like, he's not only like the best pedal steel player I've ever heard, he's like one of the best musicians I've ever played with. He's just so clever and smart, and he just sent me back essentially what you hear on the record for me and my Someraults. Like, just came up with the lead lines to fill in spaces that I hadn't realized I left blank. Mm-hmm. Came up with this incredible solo at the end, and I was just like, oh my God, you did it. This is now just skyrocketed up to the top of my favorite songs that we've done in a long time.
Pedal steel will do that. I'm a big pedal steel convert as of the last year or so.
Very cool. Do you play?
No way. That would be cool. But I know.
That's everybody's answer. Yeah. No, I don't know what the hell is going on in there.
Yeah, it would be fun to play around with. But I have a single actually that I guess when this airs, it will be out. Precious, awesome. Go check it out. And that has pedal steel. I had a buddy named Cannon who I actually interviewed for the show. If you want to check that one out too, Cannon in the Boxes. He plays. He has his own stuff, but he also plays pedal steel for a bunch of people because he's basically the pedal steel guy, the one that
there's
everybody
always
hits up.
one, yeah.
There's
Yeah,
always
there's
one,
always
and they
one.
corner the market.
They do. My pedal steel player has kind of just stopped playing pedal steel because he's running a like a cabinet finishing business.
Okay, interesting.
which is like, that's how you know it's a really good pedal steel player. The best pedal steel players actually don't play pedal steel because they're building cabinets.
That is very true. Yeah, if your pedal steel player isn't busy upholstering a chair, then I don't want him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny. So you said that a lot of this album was essentially taken inspiration from or conceived maybe on the road. What have your craziest, weirdest experiences been touring?
Honestly, we don't have crazy weird experiences, but I mean, just the whole thing is so baseline weird.
That's true.
It's hard to pick one moment. But the song "Countryside" that is going to be on the record that comes out, "Countryside" is specifically about the drive from New Orleans to Memphis, which we've had to do at least once. But basically, you go through the entire state of Mississippi, like lengthwise, from New Orleans to Memphis. And I had never been to Memphis before, and we played at the High Tone, which is like not the Memphis that, like, I had no experience with Memphis other than knowing like Sun Records or whatever.
Right.
I imagine there's some strip there that boasts about Elvis or something like that. But this was just like, a regular old music venue, and you could smoke inside, which we weren't used to. So that already like kind of set a vibe.
Yeah.
And just Mississippi was just so different than where we had left New Orleans and where we ended up in Memphis. And just that whole day, like something about the way the sun was, or wherever, whatever the local vegetation was doing or something, like literally the whole state of Mississippi, it looked like it was sepia toned. And it was one of those days where we were just, it was like a 6-hour drive, something like that. We were super hungover and just like really quiet in the van. And like there was like strange names of cigarettes. Like there was this one cigarette called, I think it was Time, like, and all the signs would just say, "It's time." And it was just a pack of cigarettes, and it would be like $1.60 or something like that.
For a pack?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, $20 a carton or something crazy like that.
Wow.
And we're like, that's got to be filled with newspaper. Like, what?
Yeah, what?
And so it's hard to describe, and I don't mean this in a way of saying that like Mississippi is weird, because I literally didn't spend any time there. We just drove through it, but like the road that just cuts through the whole way, it's just like very representative of the roads in Middle America that take you through all these states, which is just like McDonald's loves, crazy overgrown shrubbery, and yeah, I don't quite know how to describe it very well, but it's very much a feeling, and it was a very kind of psychedelic feeling, and I was probably just like dehydrated or something.
Yeah.
But it left me with a feeling of, man, America is strange. What a weird place that we live.
You kind of forget how big it is.
Yeah.
How much diversity there is in the landscape.
Absolutely, landscapes and people, and we had hung out with a really diverse crowd of people just throughout those couple of days in Memphis and New Orleans and stuff, and I was thinking a lot about, because we were going to Memphis, and there was, there's all the stuff about Elvis, but it's it's like the place where he died is like almost like an amusement park museum, which is so strange.
Oh, Graceland.
And it, yeah, and it had me, and then also like, oh, that's crazy.
When I was like in third grade.
Oh man, that's heavy for a third grader.
Now that I think about it, yeah, it is a little.
It's weird, right? It's freaky. And it just, and also, Paul Simon's Graceland is just like one of my favorite records of all time. And the song Graceland kind of describes something similar as what I'm talking about. like heavy personal, very human realizations in this super being surrounded by just weird decrepit Americana, like strip malls with video stores that are still open, or perhaps everything is closed. Driving through like sundown towns and like the freaky like evil part of America. Like it's heavy, and it left me with a lot of feelings, and they turned into that song Countryside.
That's awesome. And maybe I'm reading into this, but I thought I caught a Purple Mountains reference, David Berman, in there.
Oh,
I don't know if you even did that on purpose.
Very good. There is a David Berman reference on the record. I actually hadn't thought about that. But no, that was like literally like where he gets the term from. Whatever I can't think of the name right now. The American song.
That old ass
For
American
Purple Mountain. Right.
The land. Yeah. God bless. It's not God bless the USA, is it?
I don't know.
No, the land. Whatever. It doesn't matter. One of those old American tunes.
Yeah. That's where it came from. But I know that's where it came from for him as well. But no, David Berman, huge for me. More, especially his poetry.
Yeah, I have his Actual Air.
You have Actual Air. Do you have a hardcover or a paperback?
It's a hardcover.
Yeah.
However, it's the reissued one.
Yeah.
It's not
I've
the
considered
old
buying
one.
it. Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know why I haven't. I just want them in my hands. I guess I'm being like a collector about it. I'm like, oh, I want the OG floppy copy.
Well, it's interesting because the old version, or I guess the original cover, were two towers that were called the King and Queen Building in Atlanta, and that's where my dad used to work.
Oh, that's wild.
It's just like super weird. Like I'd pass them all the time. And I don't know, I don't think he has like a connection to Atlanta, so I don't know why he used a picture of those two towers.
He's like an Athens guy, isn't he?
Is he? I live in Athens right now.
Okay. I might be wrong about that, but I feel
he's from Virginia.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking. There's this poem that he wrote about Jaguar.
Oh, interesting.
And I swear to God it was in Athens, but it very well could have been Virginia. So maybe. Never mind.
I'll give it a read through, but yeah, American Water, that album really changed the way I listen to like country music. Because I mean, I'm a huge Wilco fan, but for a long time, I never really thought about them that much as like country music. I don't know. They kind of transcend genre in general.
Sure.
But that American Water album really like got me into some weird sounding country tunes, and of course like Pavement, Stephen Malkmus, all that stuff really hit me kind of later in life as well.
Yeah, same. For sure. I still I'm embarrassed to say this in the air, but I still haven't had my Pavement moment.
Really?
Sometimes I do. I love Malkmus's solo stuff. I love his stuff with the Chicks, and I love especially the most recent record he did. I can't remember the name of it.
Traditional Techniques.
That album is wild.
Yes.
I really like that album.
I listened to it the other day for the first time in like a year because I used to be obsessed with it.
It's really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to go running to it over the pandemic when it came out, and I listened to it again recently, and I was like, oh man, this is good. But yeah, I haven't had my Pavement moment. I think I'm in my mid-30s now, and I think I like missed my moment to get really, really into Pavement, and like that's why I like Malkmus's older guy stuff. But American Water too as well, and the poem where that name comes from is just, woo, that is probably my favorite poem in the world. David Berman's Classic Water.
I'll have to. It's called Classic Water.
Yeah, it's in Actual Air.
Oh, okay. Maybe, I mean, every once in a while I pick it up and read a poem. It's been a while. I'm not religious about reading that one, mainly because when I bought it, I just loved that album. So I didn't really know what his poetry was like. And I was like, whoa, some of this is so over my head. It's like very crazy words that he uses.
Yeah,
and like descriptors.
Descriptors, yeah. He's just, I could talk about David Berman all day, but I won't.
I know it's very tempting. But yeah, we can definitely pivot back to, I wanted to ask about the fact that, your first album, I have it written, Forever Better Kissers. That was was that more of like a personal endeavor, and now we're having more of a band situation?
Yeah. I'm going to fix this mic before I answer that, because
Sure.
it is really wants to mic my chest.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. The diaphragm.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So, okay, now we're back. So you're going to see in the video.
Slowly. I didn't even notice.
Go down.
That's funny.
It's very clever. It definitely was a solo endeavor. That was me branching out as I don't want to say a solo artist, because I always wanted to have a band, and there were other people on that record. But that was the first time I want to make my own thing, write the songs, create my own kind of music. I had always been in bands, and that was for that record. And I knew Brewster was going to be, I wanted Brewster to be like, okay, something like Silver Jews or maybe, or Wilco, or even Bright Eyes, or whatever. Just like, there is one person that writes songs, and they formed a community around those songs, and that community grew and pushed the songs further. Like, that's always kind of where I saw this going. And throughout creating the live band for the material for Forever Better Kissers to take it on the road, or even before it was called Forever Better Kissers, just like a live band to play the songs with, everybody wants to be in a rock and roll band. Like, nobody wants to be solo on stage. Like, that's terrifying. Maybe people do. I don't know. I don't. But I wanted to be in a rock and roll band, but I wanted to write all the songs and be in charge. I don't know. No, I feel like I had a really specific vision, and I didn't want to have to talk anybody into it, I guess, was really the thing. It's like, I know what's going to happen. If I don't do this, it's not going to. If I have to, and also I don't want to have to involve another party. Like, I want just me wanting to create this to be enough, some self-actualization there. And then through that, because it was such a clear and true vision and an expression, like, I worked very hard to figure out how to express myself in a way that wasn't contrived, which is hard as an artist. And I wrote those songs, and that attracted certain people to the music, and those people wanted to play the music, and then all of a sudden I had a band, and the band was made up of like my literal brother, and then just the drummer was a hired drummer at first, and then just became one of my best friends in the world. And just, there's 6 of us now. There was 5 for a long time. And we just kind of became best friends on these tours. I mean, we were already close friends, but we became like absolute best friends on these tours. And the way that they played with my music, I wasn't able to imagine it happening otherwise. Like, it just was one of those moments where, like, oh, this is what I wanted. This is what I was pushing for. And so they're more involved in this album, because a lot of it was written with riffs that I would give to them, and we would like maybe play at a show or something. Like a couple songs like we had done live earlier, I played solo or something. But almost everybody that's in the band now made an appearance on that album. It was still largely a solo effort, but I will be involving them more moving forward. But they influenced it a whole lot.
That's awesome.
Whether in person or in music.
Yeah. I mean, making it a more collaborative effort almost always adds more, what's the word? I don't know, just more nuance maybe to an album that you otherwise wouldn't be able to separate certain things from yourself. I mean, I always think it's cool when you hear about somebody who locks themselves away for like 8 months and then makes some album only by themselves. They like never leave the studio. That's a cool story, but also it's
Sorry, cat.
We got a cat.
Oh yeah, she'll be making a few appearances.
I love it. Nothing wrong with that. We love pets.
She's gonna
here.
hit the mic too over and over again.
She wants to say hey.
She hates when I sit here.
Why?
Just because I'm not. Well, it's usually
because you're not paying attention to her.
Because I'm not paying attention to them. Yeah, I've got 2 little babies here. They're only like 3 months old.
Oh, we have kind of like a neighborhood stray cat that hangs around, and it's so funny because it's old. It's so old, and she's definitely deaf, so she can never hear you like walking behind her, and then you pull up right next to her, and she like fidgets like she gets scared. But also I've never seen her move at faster than like a sauntering pace. It's like a cat out of
that's an excellent word.
It's like a cat out of a video game that just like has one motion and never deviates.
So you've got an NPC cat in your neighborhood.
That's exactly what it is. It's so funny. But yeah, I got one more question before we go over to the last 5. So you've toured a bunch in your lifetime. What would your advice be to an artist who wants to put together their first tour?
Like literally booking it, or
we can go spiritual and we can also go practical. You know?
Okay, spiritually, I will say you're gonna worry about your job, and in a lot of ways, I guess you should. The economy is a lot different now than when I started touring. There was way more a feeling of whatever, the restaurant will hire you back. So I don't know if I want to. I mean, but also just maybe just quit the job. I don't know. Not quit the job, but don't talk yourself out of it, I guess is the biggest thing I can say about touring. It seems like really magical and far-fetched at first, but it is basically it's like a physical connection to all these connections that we make through social media. It's I mean, like all my first tours were booked through social media in some way, shape, or form, or connections that I had made at shows, or a combination of the both. And it's really nice to not just have like a Twitter mutual or something like that, but somebody that lives in a part of the country that you don't live, but twice a year you go out and visit them and play a rock and roll show with. Like it's very cool to like give life to these kind of connections that maybe we don't think about too much because just of the nature of the way that we work. We all kind of work with social media ingrained in us now, like socially. How many times can you say social in 30 seconds?
Let's keep counting.
I think it's 4. But yes, and you're gonna think that you can't do it because it's really hard, and you're not gonna make money. In fact, you're going to lose money, and you're gonna lose time at your job, and your job's gonna be mad at you, and you might get fired, which is scary.
Wow, you're really selling it.
It's I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's like it's tricky to make that call, and of course a lot of people don't have the privilege to say I'll make whatever work, and I'm really blessed to have the opportunity to have taken as much time as I did to find the right fit job wise for this. I work as a music teacher now, and the school that I work for is like very encouraging of me to go on the road.
That works for me. I'm a music teacher as well. So
okay, yeah.
Shout out.
So keep looking. Well, no, not keep looking for a job, but it took me a long time to find the right fit because a lot of the places, I wanted to be a musician first and foremost, which meant practically that a job is a second priority. It meant I'm going into a place saying, you're not hot shit. I know what I want to do. I'm looking for a paycheck. I'm only going to be this much committed to you, because I already am doing this. And that's not especially romantic for an employer, but you find the right fit and they could be like, hell yeah, dude, that sounds sick. you should do that, because then I can brag to everybody about how cool my employee is, or whatever. Or it's a great fit music. I personally never found anything that wasn't working in a music venue or working in a music school that worked with touring. Everything else was just like, what are you talking about? You're gonna disappear for 3 weeks? Then you're gonna get fired.
Yeah.
So
which
I guess
which is not a crazy concept, by the way. It's not.
No. Totally get it. Yeah. So I would go into these interviews
find the right fit.
I would go in and be like, yeah, no. Oh, no, I totally understand. Thank you so much for your time. Like, but just so you know, in about a month, I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks, drinking Miller Lights and playing in basements.
Smoking really cheap cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, don't be discouraged by that. If you really, really believe that what you're doing is true to you, don't tour just because you want to be cool. I mean, maybe tour if you want to be cool. It is pretty awesome. So I do whatever feels right, but especially do it if you are worried about money, or worried about what someone will say or anything like that. Just do it. For sure, do it. And if you're in the right community, like the DIY community America is, like, they're gonna take care of you. You're gonna be safe. It's the best thing that you can do to reach other people, and it's one of the best things you can do for yourself, because you get out of your own head. You go and experience other things. Like, it's a great way to travel without having to be I'm a travel guy. You know what I mean? It's a great way to experience other communities, experience the way that things are done in our country that you maybe weren't fully aware of, and it's just the best. Just absolutely do it. Quit your job, make a band. 3 chords in the truth. Hashtag fucking let's go.
Damn, you got me hyped. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to it right now.
Let's go.
Cool, man. Well, that is going to take us to the last 5, where I'm just going to ask you 5 quick questions and we'll be done.
Okay.
Cool. Before we go, do you want to move that mic a little bit closer up now?
You saw me look at it, right?
Yeah.
And this
now
is
that I noticed it, I'm like watching it.
Oh, yeah?
But it's very, very slow. So I bet we can get through the last 5 before it falls again.
I think so, too. Okay.
All right. Number 1 is in the studio or playing live?
Oh, man. My heart says playing live, even though I'm not as good as that as I am in the studio. But playing live, there is camaraderie, and that's the best.
A mutual exchange of energy.
Yeah. On stage and off.
So that's the answer, playing live?
That's the answer.
Nice. Question number 2 is, what do you think is a perfect album front to back?
Oh, my goodness. Sorry, the cat was about to jump on me. Perfect album front to back. I don't know, Frank Ocean, Blonde.
Nice.
Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Love it. 2 of my top 5s.
Blood on the Tracks. I don't know.
Okay.
Shit.
I'm still trying to get into Bob Dylan.
It's going to work. Keep trying.
I know. New Morning is the only one that has hit me.
That was the first one I really liked when I was younger, too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes me feel better.
Yeah. Weird record. I wouldn't say front to back is the best.
No.
There's some strange tracks on there. But, yeah, really, really good one to start off with. I don't know. I want to say like Blonde on Blonde, too. Hard to say, but they're out there. And I don't know what they are right now, but I think I just spit off a few.
You named a good few, right? Like right off the top of the dome. That's impressive. And also Blonde. Was not expecting that, but that is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, it's perfect. Are we coming up? Okay.
Are we getting an appearance from the kitty?
Yeah,
here?
I think so.
Nice.
Well, just scratching the chair. Come on, if you're going to do
maybe
it.
Maybe not.
There we go. Here she is.
Let's see her.
This is Frankie.
Hey, Frankie.
Say hi, Frankie. Say hi.
Oh, man. Please meow into the microphone. That'd be perfect.
Oh, my God. Please. No, she won't.
Yeah. Cats never do what you want them to do. They do it on their own terms.
That's why I love them.
Mm-hmm. Question number 3 is, who is a dream artist or producer you want to work with?
Whoever, oh man, I was just thinking about this. What was the record that I was like, this sounds perfect? Man, geez. I can't remember. I mean, obviously I'd love to like see what it's like working with Steve Albini. His work with Magnolia Electric Company is just like, yeah, I mean, this is exactly what every record should sound like to me. It'd be awesome to work with him. Man, I'm blanking. Oh, we'll go with Steve Albini, but there's a better answer. No, everybody out there know that there's a better answer that I can't think of right now.
I wrote down a few because it's always interesting to think about, you know. Well, I wrote down Stephen Malkmus. That'd be a really interesting artist to work with. Blake Mills, for sure. I think that would be really cool. And then the last one, more of a niche band. Do you know Spirit of the Beehive? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I live in New Jersey, man. I mean, they're in Philly, but
I was going to say they're in Philly, though.
Everything that's not New York around New York is together.
I got you.
Yeah, no, I want to say I opened for them in a band once, but I might be mistaken that with somebody else, like back in the day.
Yeah.
Before Hypnic Jerks came out. Like pretty much right before I want to say, and they're kind of associated with a lot of Philly folks that I know and love, and just Philly's awesome for that stuff. No, they're amazing, and actually Tim Kelly, our pedal steel player, had sent me Nail I Couldn't Bite like back in what was that, like 2017, 2016, something like that. I
think it was 2018 it came out.
That sounds correct, and
that was my number one song on Spotify that year, was Nail I Couldn't Bite. I thought it was the most, I mean, I still think it's one of the most incredible songs ever.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And that, that would be wild. I'd love to, that's, and that's close to what I was thinking production wise. It's, if not that, I don't know what. Oh, don't press the space bar, please. Okay. You're good.
Yeah. They, see, the reason why I thought that would just be to see how it's almost like a crossover between the country.
Wait, I'm just gonna show you what's going on.
Let's see what
here
our cat friend is doing here. Hey, Frank.
Oh, there it goes. There goes the mic. Okay.
What a sweetie.
All right. Oh, she's a sweet little baby. She's just starting like to get brave over here. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. Just like the soundscapes that they create and like the wild sounds they get mixed with your singer-songwriter country-ish side would be really cool for me personally to witness.
Definitely. You made like a project that I'm involved with now called Boulevard Club for the Big Man. We just put out a single last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. It's me and two artists. Oh my God. Okay, come here.
Causing a little trouble.
God. Oh my God, you can't climb that. Okay, give me a sec here. All right, come here, Frankie. You little son of a bitch.
Slippery little thing.
Oh yeah, she thinks she wants to perch on this mic stand really bad.
That would be.
He's like, it's a tree branch, right?
That'd be bad for the cat and the microphone.
Yes, exactly. What was I just saying?
Talking about your the other project you're involved in.
Oh yeah. These two artists, Charlie Stick and Seamstress, who I've been friends with and playing with forever, we made a new band together where we do exactly what you're describing, just like weird production samples, but still like country folk influence. And we put out a song called "Hold My Hair Back," which is based around us. It's like a iPhone voice memo sitting somewhere, and us like working out the song for the first time, and like we've caught like a 4-bar loop of us finger picking and laughing, and that forms the loop that creates the song. And it's actually has a lot in common with Spirit of the Beehive. I think you'd probably dig it.
Yeah. And what's the name of that project?
Boulevard Club for the Big Man.
Boulevard Club for the Big Man. I'm going to listen to it as soon as this.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's under Brewster as well. You'll see it on the Brewster Spotify page.
Oh, okay, cool, nice. Yeah, that sounds also right up my alley.
Cool.
Well, question number 4 is, what's on your musical rotation right now?
I'll tell you, because I don't remember. What was I just listening? I was just listening to this band from New Zealand called The Tubs, which really are awesome. I'm really into the Time Out of Mind Bob Dylan outtakes that just came out, and remix of his record. His like 1997 comeback record. Big Dylan head stuff. 97 era Dylan stuff. This band Adeline Hotel that I really, really like. Friends of ours from New York that will be playing our album release show on, which will probably be announced by the time this airs.
Nice.
They're
Adeline
really great.
Hotel.
Yeah, Adeline Hotel.
Gotcha.
The Bird Calls as well. Sam Sadomsky, incredible songwriter. He just put out a record that you would probably love called My Life in Hollywood.
Cool. I'm going to all these on Spotify so I can listen to them later.
Just so that people can see where she is now.
Oh my gosh.
Up on the speaker.
Very curious little thing.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for the day she knocks this over. Do not knock the microphone over.
It'd be a very expensive cat.
Yes,
if that's what happens.
I would catch it with my lightning reflexes. But
True.
I'm worried about her.
Right. So is that it on the musical rotation?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Nice. I got them all written down, so I'll check them out after the interview. Last question here is, what's your favorite decade of music, and what's the worst?
Probably my favorite is the 70s.
Good answer, for sure.
Yeah, probably the 70s for a billion reasons that you can probably just guess by looking at me for 4 seconds. Like none of them are especially profound or anything, so I don't want to waste the listeners' details. And the worst? Is there a worst?
Well, it's subjective, but I like when people just trash a whole decade. It's fun.
Subjectively, I don't know. I mean, I can think of something I like from every. I mean, at a certain point in time, I would have said the 80s, but like the 80s have become one of my favorite, like Bruce Springsteen and Hornsby and Petty's 80s stuff, Dylan's 80s stuff. Like, and I know that that's Christian era, but also, man, some good stuff in there. Every Grain of Sand. Come on, folks. I don't know if I have any least favorites. I don't think so.
You know what?
I'm gonna be easy answer. I like it all.
Let's stay on the positive side for this episode. Whereas usually I'm just like, fuck the 80s, man.
Yeah, you can tell I've finished my cup of coffee now, because when we opened, I was like, I don't know, man. It was such a pain in the ass. Yeah. And I'm like, everything is beautiful and artistic and creative, and just be yourself, man.
Just a little bit of caffeine will do you. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, hey, Mark Bucci from Brewster. Thank you for joining me. Bucci, fuck. I'm sorry. Gary Busey. Okay. You would think after a whole hour of talking to you,
it should be Bucci, but my grandfather was like a black sheep in his family who really wanted to Americanize it. So it's
that's
Busey
so funny
for us.
Busey.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Mark Bucci from Brewster. Thank you for joining me for an episode of On That Note, man. It's been a blast getting to talk with you.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. Me and My Someraults out right now. Everybody go give it a listen. Watch the music video. And yeah, man, thanks again for coming on.
Absolutely happy to be here.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you later.
But the boys in the
Thank you again for joining me for another episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and you can even leave a comment down below to let me know who you're listening to. On that note, I'll see you guys next time.